All right, we are recording for chapter 18. I'm just arranging some things on the laptop here, but yeah. So this one, lots of stuff happens in this. And one thing kind of funny is I don't have that many notes written out, but I have plenty of things highlighted. So that's the first one there. So I'm actually trying to remember. Oh yeah, that's right. How does he get the dynamite into the factory? And this actually do have a criticism in here for the storytelling, but it's like, yeah, it's nonfiction. I think I can give it a pass. Personally, though, if it were just a story, a fiction story, I would be bothered by this. But it's like, as I said, I think I can get a pass. So what's not been discussed before is the POWs have a cart that it's pretty basic from what it describes. Just, a handle that stretches the entire length, boards across it so it creates a V. But they use this for picking up the mail at the train station and then bringing it to the camp, and also going throughout the factory, delivering it to the people at the various work parties. So that's what they have hidden the dynamite in. Because going into the factory, the guards do look at it, but they don't pay too much attention. So they don't find that there's a parcel of dynamite there. So he's then able to get over to where the cellar is and goes down with the dynamite, sticks it in the place. And by the way, he has somebody with him. Tish. What's the last name? Keenan. Tish Keenan. Who I'm assuming doesn't fully know, because he just tells him, Cow just tells him, why don't you look and see if there's something wrong with the wheel? I'm sure you'll find something. He basically, I need you to not see what I'm doing here. So he does that, goes down, puts the dynamite where Heki is expecting it, and then goes back up. And at about this time is when a Nazi comes with some of the Jewish slaves carrying a truck, their own truck, their own like wheelbarrow of 9 bodies that they are going to just toss down into the cellar for later removal. Okay, and the Nazi makes this joke. The German went on with, in the book, he tends not to refer to them as Nazis. Just, I'm trying to make it where if it's this person is particularly evil or just really, really depraved, and this guy would count as that, also the depraved, but I mean, it's kind of the situation as well. That's why I'm trying to distinguish, they're the Nazis. Went on with heavy facetiousness. There we go. Speech impediment sucks. Because he just pointed out that a bunch of them had died last night, so that's why they had to clean up the bodies and disposing of them there. But want to buy any? Going cheap. Yeah, that's depraved. I mean, even as a joke, that's like really kind of dark. But I mean, it is dark humor, but what follows does kind of show a little bit more depravity. A thought leapt into Coward's mind. If only the man was serious. How much would you want for them, Herr Unterofficer? I could use a few sometimes. The man's face was a study. The humor of it had got beyond him. He drew nearer. You want to buy bodies? What for? Never mind what for. Answered Coward affably, fighting down his disgust. I can pay you coffee, cigarettes, soap, chocolate. An idea, grotesque yet perhaps just possible, was forming. Say when and you can have as many as you like. Ask for 3 in the next week. Placed between the factory and Birkenau. Which Birkenau is the actual extermination site. So that's where the chambers are and where the furnaces are. So there's, in fact, at one point later, it even describes. Okay, it must be on a later page, but I'm pretty sure that highlighted just how dark, not just light dark, but dark an image it is when they are out in the evening and the fires are what are illuminating the sky, the fires from the furnaces. So he does arrange to have 3 bodies left in the ditch between the factory and Birkenau. And the guard is like, yeah, okay, that's for next week. You're paying me tomorrow. And Tish is like, What the hell are you doing? Why do you want to buy bodies? This is the idea, Tish. You know that every night a bunch of these poor bastards who are not fit to work anymore are marched across to Birkenau to be gassed, right? If I can arrange with them beforehand to get 3 of them to drop off the column in the dark and then shoot the dead ends onto the road, they'll have a chance to escape. We'll have to get some kit for them to wear, but after that it'll be up to them. At least they'll have a sporting chance, and that's more than that they'll get inside Birkenau. Keenan looked at him admiringly. You're a perishing genius, Charlie, even if you are as cracked as an old chamber pot. And then I'll just get to the next thing I have here. Then began one of the... the first sentence at least. Then began one of the strangest escape stories of all time, one of the most macabre at all events. So this happens more than once. Okay, and this is the thing that I've mentioned before, that there's debate over how many. It's unclear, did they save dozens of Jews this way? Some say, no, they saved thousands. It's unsure. Also, how much credit Coward takes for it is also a matter of debate, because it is something that more of the POWs are involved with. This is not the normal underground stuff that he doesn't include them in, certainly for safety purposes. They do get involved. And there's even some more involvement later in a different way. But, yeah, so continuing. That afternoon, by dint of joining them in the lee of the building as they drank their meager supply of watery kraut soup, Coward got into touch with a group of Jews. Gaunt, ragged figures, their bodies shrunken or distended with malnutrition, hands and face covered with sores. When tall man came, who had come from Hungary, had been lawyer before he was snatched up, he could speak English well enough for Coward to talk to. Because this is, it makes sense, but it is also, okay, let me try to do that so I'm a little more centered as I lean. It makes sense, but it still is kind of dark. Coward is not going to just help them escape. It's not just that. He's actually exchanging with them for this to happen. And this is where he explains it. Now, it is dark, but you need to remember, Coward's desire is in part to punish the Nazis for what they're doing. So what he's asking here is in alignment with that. In return, so this is the Hungarian is agreeing to this. In return, he pledged himself and his friends to do as much damage in the factory as their puny strength was capable of, although to observe a certain discretion so that wholesale slaughter would not result as a reprisal. He was as good as his word, and many times did those living corpses break a wire or wreck a machine, some of them unhappily dying in the attempt. Coward even heard from the lawyer of one young Jew who had thrown himself onto a whirring dynamo, knowing that his body would effectively jam it for some time. This knowledge, the thought that he was driving some of these gallant people to their death weeks or months before they would have died at the hands of the Hun, saddened him. Yet such deaths were blows for freedom, raising morale tremendously, and better than tame submission to die when it suited the overlords. So, yeah, it is kind of dark. It's not just I'm trying to help you, but I want you to do this stuff. That is kind of dark. But it is exactly what's stated there about it helped morale. Because, like that young Jew, even if it was a possibility that he could escape, it still is if he does this, he's helping other people escape. And it's also something like that can shut down production for a while, which means less labor. So that it is starting to it is going to be a morale booster. It's starting to give them back some humanity, some control over their own lives. Okay, so yeah, then it talks about how he and Tish need to obtain civilian clothing by spending much of the men's cigarettes and soap. They had been let into this particular secret and highly approved of it. So, yeah, the other POWs are in on this, and that, again, that's part of the debate, the historical debate as far as how much credit Coward claims for himself, or has been given to him. Because it was not just him, it was a group effort. So yeah, it's. But anyway, the following day he has to, return to the Unterofficer and pay him. Coward had met him as arranged and paid over 2 bars of chocolate and 20 cigarettes. Some people may think that, well, wait, why doesn't the guard just turn him in? This actually does explain it. Well, this and then going on, and it's again very dark, horrible joke that's about to be made. You horrible swine, you. The last time a Jew... He said in English as the bargain closed, you horrible swine, you. The last time a Jew cost 30 pieces of silver. I'm getting them at cut price, aren't I? About a shilling each. He turned away feeling sick, knowing that the German would not let him down for fear of Coward disclosing the deal to the authorities. So, yeah. So that I'm pretty sure it is... the German made that comment, not Coward. It is a little odd how it's written there, but he said in English, well, Coward speaks English, he doesn't speak German. Well, at least not well. But it's also the he would be in reference earlier to Coward had met him as arranged and paid over 2 bars, and then he said in English as bargain closed. But yeah, that's... He turned away feeling sick, but knowing the German would not let him down, because, I mean, if he's now taking payment for this, basically they're both in on the crime, he can't fail him. And it's also no one cares about those bodies. Not sufficiently to notice any going missing. Now to actually do this, he and Tish need to walk out of the camp, which that's actually allowed, sort of. They have to bribe the guards. It is mentioned later that basically, so long as they're back before dark, that's fine. The guards actually kind of take it as they're just going to the local brothel. And it even has comment that, the guard watched them go, envying them their apparent trip to the local brothel. Okay. But because they need to be out to help with this, so they are going... Well, yeah, I'll just read it. Soon they came to the small road that led from Auschwitz proper to Birkenau, whose chimneys cast a lurid red glow over the red sky. All 5 furnaces were working hard, and both men felt a sense of unreality in the scene. This is what I was talking about earlier. It seemed unbelievable that those fires could really be consuming human beings by the dozen every minute, that the hair of the victims really was saved for cushions and pillows, that the daily cartloads of barrels of fat were the last remains of a great multitude of people whose final destiny was to provide perhaps an ingredient for bars of soap. Yet in the ditch lay the answer to such doubts. 3 rigid bodies, sightless eyes, upturned to the sky, hands clenched. So, what is about to happen after this? And I do have another highlight to read, but explain what's happening first. 3 guards come up. 200 prisoners, 200 Jews behind them. There might be non-Jews in as well, but I'm going to keep referring to Jews. It's most likely Jews, largest population, that are in the death camp. 3 guards in front, 200 Jews, 3 guards in the back. Okay, just monitoring that. And this is in the dark, essentially. Because it's like we're getting rid of them before the morning shifts. What has been arranged is that 3 that are in the middle of the column are to drop out and just roll into the ditch, basically about near where, I think it says they're about 20 yards away from where Coward and Titch are waiting, and so also where the bodies are waiting, but are to drop out there and hide, and the column will just walk by, because the Germans aren't paying much attention. They don't expect anything. Now, when they get to Birkenau, or to the gate there, they are counted. That count will be like, wait a minute, we were supposed to have 200, only 197 come up. That's a problem. But they do figure they're not going to get far. They're in the striped pajamas that's easy enough to find, but also, it often did happen that men and women died on the way to Birkenau. When they were counted at the gates and found to be so many short, a man was always dispatched back along the road to find the bodies. If the tally agreed, then all was well and no further action taken. Okay. So that's the whole plan. That they take the bodies that died otherwise, and no one's accounting for them, and they're putting them there. So now people can drop out. They will be given clothes and such, and basically pointed in the right direction. Because in theory, Coward tries to tell them to go find the photographer in Auschwitz. He'll help. It's unclear if that actually happens. It isn't it's mentioned. That's what he tells them to do. No mention of if it actually occurs, at least in this chapter. But they're given the clothes and they run off, and then Coward and Tish take the bodies, put them in the middle of the road at fair distances from each other. So it is like they just dropped. So that way, when going back, it's just, oh, so he died on the walk here. We're good. Okay. Now, after this has happened, on his journeys through the factory and surrounding camps, Coward was now accorded a new respect. For although only a few of the Jews were in the secret of the escape system, word had gotten around that he was helping deportees in some way. His new name, too, quickly spread by unknown channels, and a Frenchman surprised him considerably one day by addressing him with a flourish as Imle Comte. It's been a very long time since I took French. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but in any case, I'm sure it's saying something like, the Count, something to that degree. A strange appellation, which pleased his French comrades immensely. To this day, so when this was published, which I think was in the 50s or 60s, Coward is called the Count by people whom he scarcely knows. Among the hundreds who did manage to evade the lash of German fury at Auschwitz in its latter days, hardly a person failed to recognize the man with the honorary title. And truly he lived up to the name, for he ruled the Rus there more effectively than did many of the German officers. Okay. And I also have to look here. Okay. I think it's just the one more highlight left. Yeah. And then some more talking about what happens. So he now has a meeting with Heki. He has to bring him more of the revolvers. And he asks for dynamite. He's like, why? I'm going. What? I'm going. Well, I go soon. Here, Coward. More dynamite first. Go? Where are you going? Birkenau. Are you sure? Next week. It is sure. More dynamite first. But, good God, man, let's get you out. I won't let them take you. No, my work nearly done. They will not take me. I take them with dynamite. It is actually a little funny how the guy is constantly like, just give me the dynamite, give me the dynamite, give me the dynamite. And this then leads to a tense period for Coward. Because he's like, yeah, I'll do what I can. Because, like, he's got a week, but he's like, I will get it for you tomorrow. It's by tomorrow. But it's like, even Coward's like, I got no idea how I'm going to do this. Because he needs to get back to his source, which is Otto, the photographer in Auschwitz. But he can't just walk out of the camp. It's getting too late in the day. And as I said, the guards want you back by 10, so he needs to actually escape, and he does. He cuts a hole in the wire during the day, it sounds like, and then at night he has to avoid the guards, avoid the searchlights, but he manages to crawl through, sprints to Auschwitz, catches his breath, goes to the back door. Otto's back door knocks, has to knock again a little harder. Otto appears there with gun drawn, but then recognizes Coward, calms down, puts it down, and it's like, come in. It's like, what's going on? And Coward explains, and Otto's like, Heki always wanted it, always knew this was going to happen, and just wanted to go out on his own terms. And he does indeed go out on his own terms, and what is said here, well, we'll get to it. That's in the next chapter, I assume, or at least it is very soon. So Otto goes to get the dynamite, and it's a little funny because now Coward is just sitting at like their kitchen table, enjoying some coffee with the man's very attractive wife, and she tries making a joke about this as well. That's like, I'm glad you're not a Frenchman, because I hear they don't take much time when alone with a woman. To try something, and Coward is just like, don't spend any blushes on me. I'm married with a family at home. And then they both just start laughing at this, but it's just a little awkward. Then there comes a banging at the door, banging and kicking at the door. Otto appears, gives him the dynamite, and is like, go, because it's the Gestapo. So, yeah. And it's also a little funny because earlier in this, in this chapter, Coward was even reflecting on the whole, I've got so much shit going on now, how I'm managing all this. It's like, I'm having to run things to Heki. I'm doing this escape thing, and I'm trying to just manage the POW camp as well. It's like, whoa. But now he's got this sense like, oh crap, the Gestapo are at the door. But he's pushed out the back, and he does manage to make it back to the POW camp seemingly without being caught. At least I don't remember that. Well, he couldn't have been caught. If he was, then the dynamite would be caught, and also he wouldn't be able to get the dynamite to Heki. But as I recall, and I mentioned this before, they are interrogated, Otto and the wife, and at some point Coward does see her with like cigarette burns on her body, because that's part of how they interrogated, meaning tortured. Excuse me. But she doesn't break. So I do know that we do see her again. And that also does remind me of something from the movie that they did. It is that scene with him in this basically saying, I'm married with a family. Don't do this to me. It is still a struggle for him, I don't doubt, but it's like married with a family. Don't. Yeah. In the movie, though, I don't think there's really much mention of him being married at the time and with 4 kids. But also, it does suggest him having a romantic interest in a woman. It's like, for a movie, I guess that's understandable that you're putting that in there, but that is not the case. That there's never a suggestion in the book, at least, of there being any romantic interest for him during his time as a POW. So, yeah, but as I said, it's a movie. It's nice to try to put in those subplots, because, you know, it may help have interest in the movie, or it give additional motivation for actions of his. Because motivation is always important. You want to always try to follow a character's motivations. Which does kind of go back to the whole what I was saying before about how it seems odd and kind of dark that Coward is like, yeah, I'll help some of you escape, but only if you try to sabotage things. But it's like, well, what is his motivation? Yes, he does want to help them, but his motivation is to punish the Germans, to punish the Nazis. So yes, he is going to ask that, because that's aligned with his motivation more so than helping them escape. Right? Like, if he could blow up the entire factory, that's what he wants to do. Right? So, yeah. Because it will be in the next chapter, I don't want to spoil it, but yes, he does manage to get Heki, the dynamite. And it says that what the dynamite ends up being used for, that this late in the war means that it's never repaired, is what I remember being written in here. We'll find out if my memory is right or not on that. But it's interesting, because it's one of those things I've tried looking it up at other times and not been able to find a record of it. Which could just be that wherever I was looking, you know, like, Wikipedia is not exhaustive in all things. And that would have been many years ago that I looked. And it is, to me, kind of reasonable that no, that this would be the accurate history, because it has a reason to be the accurate history, both because it's a biography, and so it's supposed to be accurate, it is supposed to be the history, but also that might just be one of those detailed things where it's like, well, it is a reason it's mentioned here and not, and there's reasons, well, there is no reason for it to be mentioned elsewhere. So anyway, we shall see. Hopefully that's in the next chapter or shortly thereafter. I mean, we are running out of chapters. It's 18. It's only 24 chapters, so we've got that. We've got his night spent in Auschwitz. We've got his own escape from Auschwitz, but that's like the actual end of the war kind of thing, where it is an escape, but it's also kind of the Germans have their attention elsewhere. There should be a few more things as well. I just don't quite, I don't remember all of it, but yeah. All right. See you next time.